The following program contains images that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion advised.
Bleh! I got you so good! Oh. Anyway, hello and welcome to a very spooky episode of Friday Night Games. I'm your host, J Comics. Tonight we're talking about the new widescreen series of Game & Watches. What's so spooky about the new widescreen series, you ask? Well, oh shit! What the f***? Oh my balls! Oh, what the heck? Who's trying to jump scare me? Jump scares are the cheapest form of horror. Only idiots and hacks would use them. Oh, duh, it's Halloween. It's just trick-or-treaters. All right, you little rascals, I've got your candy. That's weird. Must have run off before I could give them their candy. Boo.
Come on out, J Comics. It's time to give your channel to someone who actually has talent.
Oh, curses. I thought I got rid of that fake J Comics, that fake comics. Oh man. Well, I can't let him ruin my Halloween episode. I'm gonna talk about the new widescreen series if it kills me. But before we get into it, you should check out the prior Game & Watch videos so you can get caught up with the series so far. October 1982. Halloween is right around the corner and Nintendo is riding high off of the success of their newest arcade release, Donkey Kong Jr. They've already got 2 games in their fancy new multi-screen Game & Watch series, Oil Panic and Donkey Kong, both very successful games that showed off the potential of the 2 screens. But now Nintendo wants R&D1 to make a Donkey Kong Jr. Game & Watch to bolster the sales of the arcade game. Instead of making a game for the multi-screen series, they decided to go back to the single-screen model. Why did they do this? I don't know. Probably because it was faster to make a single-screen Game & Watch than a multi-screen one. Nintendo gotta get those fat stacks ASAP. And so, the widescreen series was revitalized, but with a whole new look. So what's the difference between these 2 things anyway? Nothing! These are basically the same thing. Same hardware, same design, same screen size, same features, same paperclip on the back. All the differences are cosmetic.
But damn, those cosmetics though.
The new widescreen added this silver metallic bevel on the outside of the screen which makes it pop out. And they gave the game titles a much needed upgrade. Look at these metallic faceplates, so shiny and satisfying to look at. And I love these strong color choices. They also started putting their characters on the sides too, a nice touch. I also really like the white trim they added around the edges. All of the games have it and it frames the whole thing nicely. The original widescreen is classic and I love it, but the new widescreen design has more character. I love them both, but I think the new widescreen design is superior, definitely an upgrade. Oh shit! Dude, you are loud as hell. Stay back, I'm warning you. Don't worry, J Comics. You'll be leaving the show in good hands. God! The Donkey Kong box art! That's a cheap shot, you asshole! Fuck my eyes! God damn it, he's ruining the episode. But I think I've lost him for now. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, our first stop on the new Widescreen Express is Donkey Kong Jr., releasing on October 26, 1982. If you want to know just how talented Nintendo R&D1 was, just look at Donkey Kong Jr. They took a whole ass arcade game and shoved that baby into a tiny turquoise calculator. Donkey Kong on the Game & Watch was already impressive, but this is on a whole new level. They really captured the Donkey Kong Jr. experience on this little thing. Junior is jumping around, climbing up vines, dodging Snapjaws and Nitpickers, dropping fruit and saving Donkey Kong from Mario. This is like a level straight out of the arcade. Of course, you play as our naked hero Junior. Just like in the arcade, you gotta get to the top of the screen so you can grab the dangling key to Donkey Kong's cage. All the while, you've gotta dodge Nitpickers and hordes of Mario's Snapjaws. Where the hell does he get these things? He's got like an endless supply of these nightmarish hell creatures. That is hella sus, Mario. Once you reach the key, you have to time your jump just right in order to grab it and slam it into the lock. Otherwise... As far as points go, you get 1 point for jumping over a Snapjaw, 3 points for dropping a fruit on a Snapjaw on the upper branch, 6 points if you drop a fruit on a Nitpicker, and 9 points if you drop a fruit on a Snapjaw on the lower level. As far as standard features, the new widescreen series games work the same as most other Game & Watches. Like always, you've got Game A, which is standard mode, and Game B, which is hard mode. You can also clear any misses once you reach 300 points, or if you reach 300 points without getting any misses, you activate Chance Time, which gives you double points until you lose another life. What's also really cool about this little Donkey Kong Jr. Game & Watch is that it's the first single-screen Game & Watch to have a winnable narrative. After you unlock Donkey Kong's cage 4 times, Donkey Kong escapes. The game loops on a faster speed afterward, but that is the official canon ending of the story. Junior saves Donkey Kong. In most other Game & Watch games, like Mario Bros. For example, Mario and Luigi just go on forever until you lose 3 times. They can't quit or win the game, you just keep playing until you inevitably fail. So what, you might be asking? Who cares, one might say. Well, shut up! It's my show and I think it's cool. You probably couldn't tell, but I really like Donkey Kong Jr. for the new widescreen. It looks great and the gameplay and narrative make it feel like a bite-sized adventure. It really encapsulates the experience of the arcade game. This is an awesome introduction to the new widescreen series, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. This one seems to be a fan favorite, and it sold nearly 1 million copies. Definitely give this one a try. And as quickly as the new widescreen series appeared, it vanished. For almost an entire year, Donkey Kong Jr. was the sole game in the new widescreen series, while R&D1 focused on making multi-screen Game & Watches and other Game & Watch revisions. And who could warrant another entry into this dormant franchise except Nintendo's new up-and-comer Mario? Of course, we all know what Mario's iconic next job would be. Say it with me. Wrong! Cement factory worker, obviously. How could you forget about Mario's cement factory? Everyone knows about Mario's cement factory. It's Mario's fucking cement factory! And don't you ever forget it! Man, I love me a weird, obscure Mario adventure. I had no idea about this game until I was researching for my Donkey Kong Jr. arcade game.
Don't watch that video now. The YouTube algorithm demands it.
And I saw the game title. Mario's what now? Yup. Apparently Mario and Luigi left their bottling plant job and opened up a cement factory. I know, what the hell, right? Mario was all over the place in the early 80s, trying to figure himself out on that long road of self-discovery. Mario's cement factory is notable for 2 reasons. 1. Mario is wearing a yellow hat and overalls with an orange shirt. What? And 2. Luigi's Rugrats ass-shaped head on the box art. He doesn't even have a mustache. Why? In this game, you play as Mario trying to move the cement from the top of the factory down into Luigi's trucks at the bottom. The cement enters the factory in buckets from the top, which empty into cement mixers on the right and left. Mario needs to navigate to these cement mixers, which can hold up to 3 loads of cement at a time in order to pull a lever and empty the cement 1 load at a time. Once the cement is unloaded into the bottom mixers, Mario needs to do the same thing to empty them into Luigi's trucks. Mario can't jump in this game, so in order to get to the different mixers, he needs to use these elevators in the center. The left side goes down and the right side goes up. There are so many ways to mess up in this game, all of them leading to Mario or Luigi's brutal deaths. If Mario can't make it to a full cement mixer in time, it overflows and falls on Luigi's head, suffocating him to death. If Mario moves off of a platform at the wrong time, he falls to his death. If Mario waits too long on a lift, he gets squished to death. Mario's cement factory is all but screaming a commentary on the dangers of factory working conditions and the need for workers to unionize in order to prevent these kinds of hazards. But I'm not smart enough to engage with Mario's labor analysis, so I'm just gonna move on. Once it gets going, Mario's cement factory is really fun and exciting. But part of that excitement comes from the fear that I'm gonna have to start over from the beginning because this game starts out and it's slow as fuck. God, it's like watching cement dry. Seriously though, I really don't like how slow this game starts off. It's such a slog to start over from the beginning. Game B is better in this regard since it's more fast-paced, but Game A can be kind of a chore for me. On the whole, I really like Mario Cement Factory. It's fun to play and it looks great. I love the metallic red casing. It's another one of Mario's weird early year outings. It was also the last Game & Watch to be released before the Famicom, Japan's version of the Nintendo Entertainment System, went on sale. But I'm not a fan of the slow pace to start out with, so I can only give it 6 cum-covered Luigis.
I have seen the tortured and bleeding apparition. It screams endlessly as it searches for one that is worthy. I have no doubt that whatever I have resurrected through this book must be passed on to another. The holy missionaries claimed that I could know salvation for my life which has been corrupted with sin. If only I were to keep the spirit of their Lord in this house and accept him into my soul forever. The book speaks of a spiritual presence, a macabre being that roams the dark bowers of man's domain. I learned that it is through the recitation of the book's passages that this anguished spirit is made manifest. Included here are the phonetic pronunciations of those passages. Kolob. My soul, deemed unworthy to receive such a host, has already been damned to hell. Vatica.
Jesus Christ!
Christo. It haunts me. The book cannot be destroyed.
Jesus Christ!
Blood of Man, a new Grindhouse film from horror mastermind Jordan A. Romero. Blood of Man.
He's really gonna fucking kill me! I don't know how much longer I can outrun him. I've gotta think of something. But the show must go on. I will talk about the new widescreen series come hell or high water. Oh shit, it's Manhole, baby. That's right. The next widescreen series game to be released, this time only 3 months after Mario Cement Factory, is one of my favorite Game & Watch's, Manhole. After 2.5 years, one of the best-selling Gold Series Game & Watches became the second Game & Watch to be remade, following Fire, one of the original Silver Series games. That one was remade into a widescreen Game & Watch. The original Manhole came out 6 months after Fire as the first game in the Gold Series, and I absolutely think it deserved to be remade. One of my least favorite parts about the original Manhole is that the screen is so tiny, so having it remade with a larger widescreen is a welcome change. It also now has this deep blue metallic faceplate which looks great. The gameplay is the same as it ever was. We still don't know who this man is, why he's helping these pedestrians, or if we should be concerned. All we know is that we need to prevent these oblivious idiots from falling headfirst into the raw sewage below. There's really no replacing the classic artwork from the original Manhole, but I really like these updated visuals. It gives more detail to the backgrounds and expression to the characters. There's a lot more color here and everyone has hair now. Unfortunately, this version of Manhole only sold a quarter of what the original had, making it much rarer. It's a damn shame because I love Manhole and I think it's a great remake. It makes sense though, Donkey Kong and Mario are becoming more recognizable characters and games that don't have them are bound to sell less. But Manhole is iconic. I don't know how much more I can praise this game before you just give it a try. So I'll make my point by awarding Manhole for the new widescreen series two very big, creepy yet wholesome sewer-dwelling men. Once again, Nintendo took a long hiatus before releasing our next game, Tropical Fish. Tropical Fish released 2 years after Manhole, making it the longest break between game releases in a single series so far. It's such a long break, I debated whether to even include Tropical Fish with the other 3 games in this video. There were so many games released between Manhole and Tropical Fish. But funny enough, Tropical Fish was actually released closer to Manhole than it was to the next release in the new widescreen series, so I decided to include it. Anyway, check this game out! Look at this background art, this is Vaporwave as hell! This could be my next door neighbor's apartment here in Vaporwave world. I'm digging it. In Tropical Fish, we control this guy trying to catch his tropical jumping fish as they move from one fish tank to the other. One of the best things about this game is we have a hungry Chan over here in the corner that's just waiting to catch a fish if it falls. Look at that hungry boy. When a fish falls, he zooms out and grabs it. I know you're not supposed to want him to eat the fish, but I love him and I think he deserves to eat all of the fish. Look at that happy face. And he's also the alarm.
Protect him at all costs.
Honestly, Game A in Tropical Fish is kind of boring to me. It's another juggling game, and by this point we've had the same gameplay multiple times in Ball, Chef, Fire, and even Fire. It just seems a little tired for R&D1 to be coming back to this. But in Game B, you got fish flying all over the place. Whoa, whoa! This one is much more interesting. I definitely prefer this mode. Other than that, there's not much to say about Tropical Fish. It's a fun game with awesome retro-style visuals and the best cat we've seen in the Game & Watch series so far. Not my favorite, but I would still go as far as to give it 1 Sylvester and half a Tweety Bird. Huh? Is that a spider from Greenhouse? Oh! You tried to kill me. It's time to return the favor. Oh. What's going on? Where are we? No, not like this. You wouldn't. No! 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 And that's the new widescreen series. Well, half of the new widescreen series anyway. I want to keep Friday Night Games at least somewhat chronologically accurate, as well as survive my evil clone, so I hope you can forgive me for splitting this series in half. The new widescreen series is the first series to not have consistent releases, with some games coming years after others. I'm glad R&D1 kept the widescreen format around, because I still think it has plenty of potential, as these games have shown. Unfortunately, from this point forward, sales of the Game & Watch releases would begin stagnating. It would be rare for a single Game & Watch to sell more than 250,000 copies, compared to prior games, many of which sold upwards of 1 million. It makes sense, as by this point the Nintendo Famicom was out, and it was just a better deal. You could either get a Game & Watch which had a single colorless game on it, or you could get a Famicom which could play multiple long color games. The Famicom was the clear choice for an investment, however the Famicom's release didn't immediately spell the end of the Game & Watch. The series would still continue on into the early 90s. After all, even though the Famicom was a better long-term investment, Game & Watches individually were cheaper and had the benefit of portability. Before we finish things off, I want to give another subscriber shout-out. Mr. Game & Watch has been— Wait! Mr. Game & Watch! Oh my god, I'm your biggest fan! I mean, these are accounts of your lived experiences, so you are the authority, but I appreciate you checking my videos out. Happy Halloween, everyone! Thank you for joining me on this special spooky episode of the first half of the new widescreen series. Next time we'll be moving into the Game & Watch's foray into the world of color with the Tabletop and Panorama series. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode, right here on Friday Night Games.